Hi everyone, time for another video. This one is 5 little hacks that can get you a grade higher, so an extra grade effectively from a 6. These 5 things will help you get towards a 7 and vice versa. Okay, number 1, it seems like common sense. It's the thing I always tell you is the most important rule. That's why it's number 1. It's read the question properly. Okay, because if you misread the question, if you maybe explain rather than describe, if you look at earthquakes rather than volcanic eruptions, this will cost you a potential grade. You'll lose 3 or 4 marks at the very least, and that could be the difference. There is guaranteed to be one of you watching this video that's between a grade boundary that finishes the exam 1 mark off their chosen grade. Now you can get it remarked. I did that in my history exam when I was your age. But there's no guarantees, and you've got to pay to have it done as well. So the top tip I have for you here, number 1, read the question carefully. 9 marker, 6 marker, make sure you answer the question that is applicable, okay? The second top tip, number 2, is to go through 9 markers when you've written them and add 1 extra detail in. Because an extra mark could, as I just said, get you that extra grade, okay? So always look for that extra mark. Show your workings in the 3 marker. In the 9 marker, add that extra 1 sentence of explanation, because the extra mark, if you keep doing that across the paper, will eventually bump you up a grade, if not more than that, okay? So the first one, to read the question carefully. The second one is to make sure that you always add a little bit extra in the explanation, or a little bit extra in the markings. Third one, the key thing here, you have to remember stats from your case study. If you remember your case study, great. If you remember literal stats from it, what causes it, what the effects were, primary, secondary, dates, times, magnitudes, things like that, rainforest examples, amounts, percentages, whatever it may be about London or Rio, that will give you an extra grade. If you include things like that in your 9 markers and 6 markers, your case study stuff, that will eventually bump you up a grade, guaranteed, okay? I've said this before, you can't really get a grade 7 or higher without that anyway, but honestly, if you're on a grade 3, 4 or 5 at the moment, that will boost you up 1, including some stuff in your case studies. As a marker, I've marked for AQA. I taught in the school obviously, but I've marked for AQA, and I know what they're looking out for. They are looking for people who know something about their case studies, okay? It's important that you know facts, figures, not every single detail ever, but at least the basics, okay, about each different case study that you've got. Number 4, again, really important one, my favorite number 4, is that you answer the right questions. So you won't waste time answering questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 in one of the exams. Don't forget that. You are only answering questions 1, 2, 3 and then 4 or 5 or 6. That time you will save by not answering that question that you don't need to answer will save you a potential time for an extra few marks in that 9 marker, okay? Now I marked for AQA, I just said this, I marked for AQA a couple of years ago. Out of the 200 papers that I marked, about 50, nearly 50, answered more than one of the questions, answered the wrong question, and you don't get marks for it. It's a waste of time. So make sure that you answer the right questions in paper 2, okay? Question 1, question 2, question 3, section A, B and C they might be called, and then you only answer 1 of questions 4, 5 and 6. I guarantee someone in your year group, if not more than one, will do it wrong. Do not let it be you, because that extra time that you have writing a rubbish answer that doesn't go anywhere or get no mark, doesn't matter how good it is, will give you extra time to add that stuff into the 9 marks I just said about earlier. Okay, and number 5, my top tip, my 5th top tip to help you get an extra grade is to make sure your spag is key and perfect in your 9 markers, okay? It's so simple. This is like primary school stuff, right? So capital letters, spelling, punctuation, grammar, full stops, making sure that you spell words correctly that are in the question, for example. If you get one spelling wrong, I find it hard to believe they'll just count you a mark. But if you get an extra couple of marks in your spat, go from a 1 to a 3, and you do this in both 9 markers, that's 4 marks. That's a grade right there in some cases. So you have to make sure that you're getting the easy marks, okay? Spelling, punctuation and grammar, this is stuff that wasn't taught to you by me or your geography teachers. This is stuff that is known to you, I would hope. This is stuff that is learned over time. Make sure you know the names and the spellings and the capital letters for Rio, for Brazil, for Favela Barrio Project, for the Amazon, etc, etc, okay? And definitely, last little asterisk on that, spelling, punctuation and grammar, yes, but make sure, I said this all the time to you guys, make sure that you write. So if it says, for example, name of city in LIC, you don't put London because it's not an LIC, but you also don't put Brazil. If it says name of city, you put Rio. If it says name of HIC, you don't put Rio, obviously, you don't put Brazil, but you also don't put London. HIC is the UK. Those little things genuinely could cost you marks. I marked in that AQA stuff some perfect answers, some 7 or 8 out of 9 answers, but because they got that little bit wrong at the start of the question, I had to cap them at like 5 marks. That's 3 marks right there, okay? That comes back to the first one. Read the question carefully. If it says name of HIC, you put a country. If it says name of city studied, you put the city. Easy, okay? These 5 things, if you do all 5 of them, genuinely, that will add about 10 marks to your score. You'll go up at least a grade, okay? And I want that for all of you.